So let's talk now about your book. So especially the last one that is about education, and it's an
Yeah.
interesting for people listening to us. It's an area that I love because I think your book actually should be more pushed forward because it's one of the few books for children and then a
Mhm.
great introduction to metaverse for tech savvy kids. And as well as people listen to us, I always like to remember at the moment there's around 500,000,000 people every day on the metaverse, especially on Roblox and platforms like that. So tell us a bit about the book. So the book is all the things you can do in the metaverse, and we'll put an image here as we speak. And I have as well the book's DNA where I'm going to be talking about it.
Yeah, the my book, All the Things You Can Do in the Metaverse, is actually coming from a place of love. So the book revolves around two children named Selena and Jaden. And Selena and Jaden are my niece and nephew. I got engaged last year and now have three nieces and a nephew, which I love to death. And it was just before Christmas last year. And I was trying to find something about the metaverse for kids with Asian representation because they're 100% Chinese, and I just couldn't find anything. And so I was like, you know what? I'm a creative. I'm a writer. I can do it myself. So I found a children's book illustrator online, and I wrote the book. And I paid two editors to go over it, like a professional does. And I got it self-published through my Studio Capon, and it's available on Amazon. And really what it does is it takes these two children on a very short journey from the real world into the metaverse, which is just this virtual connection of different worlds. And in it, I talk about, NFTs and music and performances and the difference between virtual reality and augmented reality. And, they put on VR headsets they find in a box and get, take it transported into this like magical world where they're playing games and doing all this like really fun stuff. Just waiting for me as I put myself in it. Just to show up, and then they find out by the end of the book that it was actually me as a robot taking them on this adventure. And I wrote it for them specifically, and they loved it so much that I just kind of made it available for everybody.
Excellent, and really beautiful illustrated book, and we'll do a special books DNA about it because I really believe that this is the kind of thing. So for like you said, there's very small representation, but there's very few books about these areas. So doing the research for the book, can you tell us what you found, and as well how do you approach looking at your own family? How do you approach children to the metaverse in the right way? Because I'm sure everyone that has children in the family, they're more advanced than us, but of course it's quite
Oh my
risky,
God.
especially if you are in Roblox or something like that. It's
I
crazy. The
I get parents all the time that come up to me at like functions and they're like, "Hey, my kid is on Roblox all the time. Should I be worried?" And the answer is yes and no. I mean, with every generation, there's going to be something that the next generation does that kind of scares the older generation, right? So like my parents, my grandparents were like, "You shouldn't be listening to Elvis Presley. I don't like how he shakes his hips." And for us, it was, I don't think you should be spending so much time playing, that 2D side scrolling video game. You should be getting outside and not getting in strangers' cars and things like this, right? And so now as we go through the process and the cycle all over again, we now have to look at, hey, the internet has evolved. It's going into its third generation of the internet, where every generation, the old one doesn't go away, it just gets added to, right? So like, we had the ARPANET, we had version 1 of the internet started in 1993 to 2005, web 1, where people could all of a sudden get in this massively connected digital book essentially and type in their questions and find communities of people just like them, and it really created this tribal mentality. I'm not sure if that's community mentality. And from there, in 2005 till now, we've been living in this second generation of the internet, the social media age, right? So we went from the information age to the social media age, and where instead of finding content, we now have the biggest collection of self-created publications daily, because everybody is sharing their thoughts, video, images. You know, it's really become a social network of individuals across the world. And sometimes, you know, that leads to not such great conversations. And, you know, it definitely can create like polar opposite opinions. And that's an entire separate conversation we can have about data theft and how it's using to like manipulate people, because you can actually completely change somebody's political view in 20 days just by pumping enough information at them online. And unless you're trained to spot it, like I am, it's really easy to like change somebody's view, right? And as we're getting into, you know, the third generation, we now have this byproduct that's going to happen called the metaverse, right? And so right now what we have are these inklings of virtual worlds. We have these platforms creating virtual worlds, and the problem is they are not interconnected yet. I mean, they all use the internet for the most part, but they're not interconnected. We don't have that level of interoperability that we need to actually have the metaverse, right? And so there is this nifty concept called the immersive internet scaling model that basically goes like this. At the base level, you have your virtual world, your level, your instance, the experience that you as an avatar are in. And then when you get further out, you have what is called the platform level, the meta galaxy, or the virtual world cluster, as put together by Matthew Ball in his book, The Metaverse and How It's Going to Change Everything. And then when you get to the top level, where these platforms can now talk to each other, where you are on the internet level, that is the metaverse. And so
Beautiful.
that's the future that our kids are going to be living in.
No, and I think this is the present actually, because they're already there. So it's just how we're going to be.
Not quite. So for the metaverse to actually happen, we have to be in the third generation of the internet, which we're not yet. That's kind of the stipulation.
But don't you think, I understand that, I agree with you on that part, but partly they're already there.